Hi there, it's April 20th and time for Through the Bible in 1 year in chronological order in which its stories and events occurred. This is day 111, I think. And we're just beginning 2 Samuel, the first 4 chapters, so let's get to it. After the death of Saul, David returned from striking down the Amalekites and stayed in Ziklag for 2 days. On the 3rd day, a man arrived from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. When he came to David, he fell to the ground to pay him honor. Remember, they tore their clothes and put ashes on them because they were in mourning. "Where have you come from?" David asked him. He answered, "I have escaped from the Israelite camp." "What happened?" David asked. "Tell me." "The men fled from the battle," he replied. "Many of them fell and died, and Saul and his son Jonathan are dead." Then David said to the young man who brought him the report, "How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead?" "I happened to be on Mount Gilboa," the young man said, "and there was Saul leaning on his spear with the chariots and their drivers in hot pursuit. When he turned around and saw me, he called out to me, and I said, 'What can I do?' He asked, 'Who are you?' 'An Amalekite,' I answered. Then he said to me, Stand here by me and kill me. I'm in the throes of death, but I'm still alive." So I stood beside him and killed him." That's not true, because I knew that after he had fallen, he would not survive. "I took the crown that was on his head and the band on his arm, and I have brought them here to my Lord." Then David and all the men took hold of their clothes and tore them. They mourned and wept and fasted till evening for Saul and his son Jonathan, and for the army of the Lord, and for the nation of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. David said to the young man who brought him the report, "Where are you from?" "I am the son of a foreigner, an Amalekite," he answered. David answered him, "Why aren't you afraid to lift your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of his men and said, "Go, strike him down, go." So he struck him down, and he died. For David had said to him, "Your blood be on your own head. Your own mouth testified against you when you said, 'I killed the Lord's anointed.'" So much for the messenger, huh? Well, we read before that Saul had fallen on his sword and killed himself, so I think he was lying too. David took up his lament concerning Saul and his son Jonathan, and he ordered the people of Judah to be taught this lament of the bow. It is written in the book of Jashar. The book of Jashar. I've never seen that book. "A gazelle lies slain in your heights, Israel. How mighty have fallen. Tell it not in Gath, proclaim it not in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines be glad, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised rejoice. Mountains of Gilboa, you have neither dew nor rain. May no showers fall on your terraced fields. For there the shield of the mighty was despised, the shield of Saul no longer rubbed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the flesh of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan did not turn back. The sword of Saul did not return unsatisfied. Saul and Jonathan, in life they were loved and admired, and in death they were not parted. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. Daughters of Israel, weep for Saul, who clothed you in scarlet and finery, who adorned your garments with ornaments of gold. How the mighty have fallen in battle." Have you heard that before? How the mighty have fallen in battle. "Jonathan lies slain on your heights. I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You are very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women." They were very, very close. "How the mighty have fallen. The weapons of war have perished." David anointed king of Judah. In the course of time, but they don't say how many times, David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go up on one of the towns of Judah?" He asked. The Lord said, "Go up." And David said, "Where shall I go?" "To Hebron," the Lord answered. So David went up there with his 2 wives, Ahinoam, of Israel, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. David also took the men who were with him, each with his family, and they settled in Hebron and its towns. The men of Judah came to Hebron, and there they anointed David king over the tribe of Judah. When David was told that it was the men from Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul, he sent messengers to say to them, "The Lord bless you for showing this kindness to Saul your master by burying him. May the Lord now show you kindness and faithfulness, and I too will show you the same favor because you have done this. Now then, be strong and brave, for Saul your master is dead, and the people of Judah have anointed me king over them." Hey, now what happens? Meanwhile, Abner, son of Ner, the commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. Yeah, right. He made him king over Gilead, Ashuri, and Jezreel, and also over Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. That's not going to hold on, is it? Ishbosheth, son of Saul, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he reigned for 2 years. The tribe of Judah, however, remained loyal to David. The length of the time David was king in Hebron over Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Abner, son of Ner, together with the men of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, left Menahem and went to Gibeon. Joab, son of Abinadab, and David went out and met them in the pool of Gibeon. One group sat down on one side of the pool and the other on the other side. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let's have some of the young men get up and fight hand to hand in front of us." "All right, let them do it," Joab said. So they stood up and were counted off, 12 men for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, and 12 for David. The man each grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his dagger into his opponent's side, and they fell down together. So that place Gibeon was called Helkath Hazarim, which means what? Daggers, field of... The battle that day was very fierce, and Abner and the Israelites were defeated by David's men. The 3 sons of Zeruiah were there: Joab, Ishbi, Abishai. Now Asahel, I really don't like these names, was fleet-footed and as a wild gazelle. He chased Abner, turning neither to the right nor to the left as he pursued him. Abner looked behind him and asked, "Is that you, Asahel?" "It is," he answered. Then Abner said to him, "Turn aside to the right or to the left. Take one of the young men and strip him of his weapons." But Asahel would not stop chasing him. Again Abner warned Asahel, "Stop chasing me. Why should I strike you down? How could I look your brother Joab in the face?" But Asahel refused to give up the pursuit, so Abner thrust the butt of his spear into Asahel's stomach, and the spear came out through his back. Wow. He fell there and died on the spot, and every man stopped when he came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner, and as the sun was setting, they came to the hill of Amahah near Gaiha on the way to the wasteland of Gibeon. Then the men of Benjamin rallied behind Abner. They formed themselves into a group and took their stand on top of the hill. Abner called out to Joab, "Must the sword devour forever? Don't you realize that this will end in bitterness? How long before you order your men to stop pursuing their fellow Israelites?" Joab answered, "As surely as God lives, if you had not spoken, the men would have continued pursuing them until morning." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the troops came to a halt. They no longer pursued Israel, nor did they fight any more. All that night Abner and his men marched through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, continued through the morning hours, and came to Mahanaim. Yeah, that place right there. Then Joab stopped pursuing Abner and assembled the whole army. Besides Asahel, 19 of David's men were found missing, but David's men killed 360 Benjamites who were with Abner. They took Asahel and buried him in his father's tomb at Bethlehem. Then Joab and his men marched all night and arrived at Hebron by daybreak. The war between the house of Saul and the house of David lasted a long time. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David in Hebron. Here we go. His firstborn was Amnon, the son of that lady from Jezreel. The second was Gilead, son of Abigail, the widow of Carmel. The third was Absalom, the son of Maacah, daughter of Timon, king of Geshur. The fourth was Adonijah, you've heard of him, right? Son of Haggith. The fifth Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ishream, the son of David's wife, Eglah. These were born to David in Hebron. Abner goes over to David. During the war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner had been strengthening his own position in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine named Rizpah, daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why did you sleep with my father's concubine?" Abner was very angry because of what Ishbosheth said, so he answered, Am I a dog's head on Judah's side? This very day I am loyal to the house of your father Saul and to his family and friends. I haven't handed you over to David yet. Now you accuse me of an offense involving this woman. May God deal with Abner, be it ever so severely, if I do not do for David what the Lord promised him on oath, and transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul to establish David's throne over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba. Ishbosheth did not dare say another word to Abner because he was afraid of him. Then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, Whose land is this? Make an arrangement with me, and I will help you bring all Israel over to you. Good, said David, I will make an agreement with you, but I demand one thing of you. Do not come into my presence unless you bring Michal, daughter of Saul, when you come to see me. Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, son of Saul, demanding, Give me my wife Michal, whom I betrothed to myself for the price of 100 Philistine foreskins. Yuck. So Ishbosheth gave orders and had her taken away from her husband, Paltiel, son of Lachish. Her husband, however, went with her, weeping behind her all the way to Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, Go back home. So he went back. Abner conferred with the elders of Israel, and for some time you have wanted to make David your king. Now do it, for the Lord promised David, By my servant David I will rescue my people from Israel, from the hand of the Philistines, and from the hand of all their enemies. Abner also spoke to the Benjamites in person. Then he went to Hebron to tell David everything that Israel and the whole tribe of Benjamin wanted to do. When Abner, who had 20 men with him, came to David at Hebron. David prepared a feast for him and his men. Then Abner said to David, Let me go at once to assemble all Israel for the Lord the king, so that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may rule over all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Joab murders Abner. Just then, David's men and Joab returned from a raid and brought with them a great deal of plunder. But Abner was no longer with David in Hebron, because David had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the soldiers with him arrived, he was told that Abner, son of Ner, had come to the king, and the king had sent him away, and that he had gone in peace. So Joab went to the king and said, What have you done? Look, Abner came to you. Why did you let him go? Now he is gone. You know Abner, son of Ner. He came to deceive you and observe your movements and find out everything you are doing. Joab then left David and sent messenger after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah, but David did not know it. Now when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the inner chamber, as if to speak to him privately, and there, to avenge the blood of his brother Asahel, Joab stabbed him in the stomach, and he died. Later, when David heard about this, he said, I and my kingdom are forever innocent before the Lord concerning the blood of Abner, son of Ner. May his blood fall on the head of Joab and on his whole family. May Joab's family never be without someone who is running sore, or who has a running sore or leprosy, or who leans on a crutch, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks food. Joab and his brother Abishai murdered Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel in a battle at Gibeon. Then David said to Joab and all the people with him, Tear your clothes and put sackcloth on, and walk in mourning in front of Abner. King David walked himself behind the bier. They buried Abner in Hebron, and the king wept aloud at Abner's tomb. All the people wept also. The king sang this lament for Abner. Should Abner have died as the lawless die, your hands were not bound, your feet were not fettered. You fell as one falls before the wicked, and all the people wept over him again. Then they all came and urged David to eat something while it was still day. And David took an oath, saying, May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I taste bread or anything else before the sun sets. And all the people took note and were pleased. Indeed, everything the king did please them. So on that day, all people there and all Israel knew that they had no part in the murder of Abner, son of Ner. The king said to his men, Do you not realize that a commander and a great man has fallen in Israel this day? And today, though I am anointed king, I am weak, and these sons of Zeruiah are too strong for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer according to his evil deeds. Ishbosheth murdered. When Ishbosheth, son of Saul, heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost courage, and all Israel became alarmed. Now Saul's son had two men who were leaders of raiding bands. One was named Baanah, and the other Rechab. They were sons of Rimmon the Beethorite, from the tribe of Benjamin. Beerhoff is considered part of Benjamin because the people of Beerhoff fled to Githam and have resided there as foreigners to this day. Jonathan, son of Saul, had a son who was lame in both feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Israel. His nurse picked him up and fled, but as she hurried to leave, he fell and became disabled. His name was Mephibosheth. John, Mark, Bill, something, Now Rechab and Baanah, sons of Rimmon the Betherite, set out for the house of Ishbosheth, and they arrived there in the heat of the day while he was taking his noonday rest. They went into the inner part of the house as if to get some wheat. Then they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and his brother Baanah slipped away. Huh. Who did they slap? Him in the Betherite? Ishbosheth. Okay. They had gone into the house while he was lying on his bed in his bedroom. After they stabbed and killed him, they cut off his head, taking it with them. They traveled all night by way of Arabah. They brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron and said to the king, "Here is the head of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, your enemy who tried to kill you. This day the Lord has avenged my lord the king against Saul and his offspring." David answered Rechab and his brother Baanah, the sons of Rimmon the Betherite, "As surely as the Lord lives, who has delivered me out of every trouble? When someone told me Saul is dead and thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and put him to death in Ziklag. That was the reward I gave him for his news. How much more, when wicked men have killed an innocent man in his own house, on his own bed, should I not now demand his blood from your hand and rid the earth of you?" So David gave an order to his men, and they killed them. They cut off their hands and feet and hung the bodies by the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in Abner's tomb at Hebron. So, there you go. Lots of trouble, huh? Lots of trouble. Crazy. What's going on tomorrow? Oh, back into more Psalms tomorrow. We may get through Samuel, but yeah. Well, that's a long one, huh? Psalm 14, 16, 19, 21. Wow. That's a lot of Psalms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, that's a big one. 5, 6, 7. It says 8, 9, and 10. Oh. It's actually 8 through like 7 or 8 Psalms tomorrow. Long reading. It's, it's in chronological order, so all these Psalms happened during David's reign, so I'm going to stick to it. And there's 150 Psalms, so it's going to take a bit to get through the Psalms. I wondered how they were going to do that. So there you have it. That's day 111 through the Bible in 1 year. Catch up on any may have missed. Give us a like if you think about it. Until next time, keep reading.